Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We're jumping in here with a quest. There's going to be a bit of dialogue. So let this play, and then I'll talk a bit more.
Mayu, where's Awil? Is everything all right?
I don't know. Her father came and collected her. He said he wanted to reward her for her studies and let her participate in a ritual.
What ritual?
The ritual of awakening. A how that involves the sacrifice of a child.
Do you think Awil's father would harm her?
I've known him for years. Today when he came, he looked right through me. His eyes were black, empty.
Where did he take her?
To the abandoned village. Please, hurry.
So yeah, I was just expecting to end this quest, and all of a sudden there's this huge kidnapping storyline, and I really hate where this goes. You know, if you think about Lara as an outsider, you know, you're trying to avoid the white savior thing, you know, that we talked about in earlier episodes. As I was playing this, I was thinking, hold on, is she overstepping her bounds? Should she be getting involved with this? But the idea is that this is the cult of Kukulkan, so they're fair game for us to interfere and mess with, I guess. So yeah, this is what finally unlocks that little doorway, which gives me access to some of the extra collectibles here at Paititi. So yeah, hello everyone. In today's episode, it's a pretty special one. Would you believe we've done 4 in a row now of just like montaging around, grabbing as many pickups as possible? It's funny, I look back at the start of Shadow, and I specifically said in those earlier episodes of this LP that I didn't know if I was going to go for 100% completion. I didn't know if the series needed to be complete like that. And, I don't know, somewhere along the way, I guess we fell down the rabbit hole. I don't know, I can't help myself, guys. So yeah, today, you're going to see these quests, the last of the Paititi collectibles, and then the other maps as well. We'll actually go back to Cozumel, Mexico. Remember, that's the last thing I said I wanted to do. And we'll gather everything. The game will be 100%, and the montaging will be over, and we'll get into the end of the game as well. So yeah, here's these guys. They're all standing around. I do like this. The map dynamically changed now with the people that are hanging around, and usually there's normal barren area. And they're going for the sacrifice. There are some interesting story beats here. It's not all bad, but here, watch this. See what you think.
Ahau, I present to you my own blood, my daughter, Awil. Her mind and spirit are strong, stronger than any I've ever seen. I am so proud of my Awil. She will make a fine sacrifice. Here, the nectar of awakening.
Of course, they had to make this a little girl. There's no way they'd do this as a little boy, right?
Hear me, Kinich Ahau, face of the sun. I offer you Awil, the chosen one. She will drink from the nectar of awakening, and her heart will be taken from her chest and cast onto the fire. The embers of my own flesh and blood, given to you so that you may not to extinguish the sun.
Awil, it's Lara. I want you to run back to Mayu when I say, okay?
So you notice the kid didn't actually seem that disturbed. That's the good bit of the story, which we'll get to in a moment. So yeah, then it just breaks out into this big firefight. I'll speed the footage up here so that you guys don't have to watch my terrible aim. You know what's kind of funny, actually? Despite all that I've played of this, I still don't have, like, the Steam achievement for 3 quick headshots with the bow. But look, they all have headdresses. They all have armor. I would have to, like, carefully break every headdress and then do, you know, some kind of big lineup and manage to nail it quickly, especially on the harder difficulty, which you'll see, by the way. We turned the combat up on the previous part, well, 2 parts ago now, and there's a fight scene coming up in this episode that is really challenging. Anyway, so you kill the guys who ostensibly are just Paititian citizens now, which feels extra weird, but, you know, cult of Kukulkan. So you kill all the men, one of which was this kid's father, and we've just slain, right? Which also feels a bit weird and maybe wrong for Lara to do. But I guess we, as the outsider, have made the executive decision that this sacrifice is bad. In a lot of other places, you know, we're happy to respect their culture and we'll be hands-off, and the whole point is to, you know, let people live and breathe. The game preaches fairly openly that that's the right and moral thing to do. But as soon as that becomes an unsettling or difficult decision to actually live and act out, where the story gets most interesting, we gloss over it all and just get to murdering. once the ethics of the Prime Directive come under the magnifying glass, well, don't worry about that. We're just going to skip it all. I seriously don't think that that's the best way they could have written this. And by completely ignoring any other idea of story that could be told here, it kind of feels like offhandedly arrogant about what is correct. I don't know, it's just a vibe that I don't really gel with. There's also the simple fact that, why isn't this quest we just capture the dad? We tie him up, we try to teach him something. We let the people of Paititi themselves decide what's going on here. Who are we to come in on the outside? Though there is one thing I like, and that was the kid's reaction. So let's see this here.
Awil, are you hurt?
I'm fine. I ran just like you said.
Clever girl.
Why did you stop the ritual?
Awil, you were going to be killed.
But that's how it is. I was chosen. My sacrifice would keep Kinicha Hao from taking the sun away. Father said he dreamed me. Dreamed that I was special.
Awil, dreams can be interpreted in different ways. What if you were meant to stay here on Earth and use your special power to become the greatest serpent god there ever was?
Do you really think so?
I do, yes.
I can't wait to tell Father.
Awil, your father is...
Going to be away for a while. So Awil will stay with me, so she can continue her studies.
Of course.
I better get started now. There's still so much to learn. Thank you, Ahau.
Yes, thank you, Ahau. I will make sure Awil is cared for. Please accept this bow as a thank you. It belonged to my mother. She was an eagle archer. May it serve you well.
Thank you, Mayu.
Yeah, I forgot this as well. There's a weird thing. Every quest you do, no matter how, sober or, intense the story might be in that specific moment, they always suddenly just give you a bow or something. I guess that there was a bow connection to that quest in some way. Yeah, so the conclusion is, the nice ladies who are smarter than this foolish dad of the cult of Kukulkan, they raise the kid and she'll be fine and she'll find another path and we move on. I think the only thing that's really interesting there is they do at least analyze that within these people's culture, their worldview, their framing of all of these events, they don't actually see the sacrifice as a very serious thing. That wasn't even a traumatic experience for that kid. We in the West, Lara comes in on the outside and she's aghast by it. But they at least were authentic enough to talk about the idea that these people may have a very different worldview. But even that's a really tricky thing they just did with the story there, because to reveal that the kid didn't really care very much, in that honesty and sincerity, they've now made what Lara did seem even worse, She came in and interfered in a big way with what, these people saw as somewhat mundane. Anyway, and obviously, guys, I'm not saying sacrifice is right, but I'm saying that this is like another example of Shadow being insincere with its subject material. And I'm fine with games being insincere, but the game always seems to... It wants to suggest it's very sincere, and it wants to suggest that it's very mature about everything it's doing. And I don't know, I don't see that authenticity. Anyway, as I was wandering around, I found this lady by this boat, and she has some really cool backstory about Amaru.
Do you believe that major events in life can be traced back to a single moment? I do. Take what's happening now. Had Amaru and Sairi not fought that day during the famine, and had Sairi not insisted, despite Amaru's wishes, that it should be him who would go beyond the safety of the borders to hunt for the village, perhaps things would be different today. You see, Amaru felt responsible for his brother's death. I heard him the night they pulled Sairi's body from the wilderness. He was beside himself with grief. I think that was the moment. It broke Amaru. He took complete control of Paititi after that. He wanted to protect us all, because he couldn't protect Sairi.
I've said this in a couple of episodes. I think he's a really cool character, but he's so mixed, and so much of what's really awesome about him, he's kind of anti-hero-ish in a way. Unfortunately, it's buried inside stuff like this.
I found your dice, Taki.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't you say Pisco stole your dice?
Everyone knows Pisco steals.
According to him, you wanted to play a game and you lost.
He wouldn't let me play again. Just one more roll and I would have won.
Pisco wanted you to know.
It's not the throw of the dice that wins the game. It's the skill of the player. Now that I have my dice back, I can practice more. Thanks again, Ishiki.
So that's the conclusion of Taki's Dice. I think that was the first quest we picked up here, wasn't it? We could have handed it in ages ago, but it just took us a bit of time.
Thanks again, Ishiki. I'm happy to have my dice back.
Next, I go for another quest, which we had almost done. You know, there's some of these guys, these rebels, tied up around the town. And while wearing the Cult of Kukulkan outfit, you can, you can rip them down. There was one last guy tied next to a post, so I grab him. And I hope you guys are all doing good, by the way. I feel really weird about the last episode of this LP, man. There was just so much conversation there about big, dry, depressing, tricky stuff. I was kind of rambly towards the end as well. Ugh, I want to say, if you guys didn't like... the commentary in the last part was either one of the best LP videos I've ever done or one of the worst. Just in terms of, like talking about culture wars and all that stuff, man. I think it's just a terrible consequence of spending too long, reading forum threads and all that kind of stuff, which I wanted to do to get back into the game, to have some, good videos as we come back to this all. But yeah, I hope I wasn't like too offensive or anything to anyone.
I spit on their graves. Have you come to finally kill me?
I'm not with the cult. I'm a friend here to free you.
That's an effective disguise. Can you use it to free the others? And find Colqui?
I hope so, but I don't know what happened to him.
He's alive. Colqui's alive. In the confusion, I heard him shout, ordering a retreat. I'm sure he's alive.
So that thing with Colqui, he's like hidden in a big temple way off on the side. It's actually really weird when I ended up going there because I had no idea where I was wandering into, and then Lara just suddenly started whispering, Colqui, Colqui, you there? We'll get to that later. In the meantime, there are a couple of other little pickups that I grabbed during this questing section.
This elaborate pipe is sculpted to resemble Shaquatl, an Aztec serpent spirit painted in green, blue, and yellow. Its sides are decorated with semi-precious stones. The inclusion of jade indicates at least a measure of Maya influence.
For the Guild Wars 2 viewers out there, Shaquatl, here he is. I was wondering if Shaquatl would show up in the game. Of course, that's a legendary in the MMO.
The bowl still reeks of burnt roots and smoke. Not an entirely unpleasant aroma.
Oh yeah, Lara, a woman after my own heart. Look, I don't smoke, but I do like the smell of tobacco in a pipe, especially when it's really fruity. And isn't that what you just suggested there? Another thing I was wondering how many references there'd be to in this is the idea of the City of Gold, El Dorado. Well, they have a note here about that.
This Spanish document relates one of the many stories of El Dorado, the Golden One. When the first Spanish exploration ships returned home with their holds full of gold, the news spread like wildfire, and the stories got more extravagant with each retelling. Rumors of the Golden City gave birth to countless expeditions to the New World.
And so we've had glimpses. I've actually found a lot of these documents, and here's a backpack. I found a lot of these documents do kind of go in circles or retread the same general vibe. Like many episodes ago, we were already hearing the same sort of thing. There also, you saw it said story complete. You might have noticed this on the previous part. Most pickups that we get now, it's the last relic or whatever document in that like little subsection. So the story completes over and over and over again. There's probably another way of Let's Playing this, where what you do is you skip every single... You pick up the pickup, but you skip the dialogue and the text every single time. And then only when it says story complete do you go back and you read it all. And I know that might sound a bit disjointed, but actually in terms of then just breathing in a full story and not having vital pieces missing and all that stuff, it's probably pretty good. Especially when it comes to stuff like Amaru's backstory. Like we heard that little dialogue from that NPC a second ago. But there's a lot of really good notes about it as well. And the whole thing with him, showing up and how the death of his brother broke him. T. Serrano and Lopez, all of that would probably play off really well.
I've freed your friends, and there's more good news. Colqui is alive. He was in the lead when the others were surrounded. He shouted a warning and ran away.
That's excellent.
There is one concern. You may have a traitor in the rebellion.
I know we do. I learned who he was while you were gone, and I'm going to personally see he gets what he deserves.
All right.
Here, take this, as a thank you. I appreciate all your help. If you're right about Colqui, he would have gone to the mountain safe house. Can you go find him, please? Let him know we have retreated to Skull Cave.
And if you've forgotten, given the bit of the gap here, Skull Cave is where we're currently standing.
If the traitor knows about the cave, Colqui's in danger.
So moving back to this big side quest about the King's Horn, it kind of starts in a weird place, but it's like a guard who's got a kid in custody because he's been stealing herbs or something. And I think we were in the wrong outfit last time we were here, maybe. So I can now go speak to that guy. And this is a really easy one, very quick.
A herb thief. He must be very dangerous.
Today it's theft, and tomorrow it's murder.
That's quite a leap, don't you think?
You really want to know what I think? I think we should round up all these little rats and drown them. Every one of them, especially Yumil. His father may be a serpent guard, but he is not.
So yeah, this just very mean guy is not happy about the children in the area. Lara's going to decide to get involved to free him, but surely he'd just get captured again later. I don't think we find a real solution here.
Hello there.
Hey, you're Ishiki, from the outside, right?
Yes, it's nice to meet you.
Well, neat. I'm Yamil.
What sort of game are you boys playing?
It's not a game. My father is a serpent guard, a priest. I took his ceremonial knife to show my friends, and Chimali the guard saw. Chimali knows what father would do if he found out I took the knife, so he threw it up there. Now it's stuck.
Oh, let me see what I can do.
Wow, really? Thank you.
Getting the knife takes about 2 seconds. I'm surprised it's even an objective as a part of the quest. You literally just climb on this. It was slightly tricky. I've cut a bit out there. It was slightly trickier for me now that I've got chalk turned off. Like, I thought I had to climb the tree, but no, you just jump at the cliff.
Thank you, Ishiki.
You're welcome.
Hey, wait a minute. The grown-ups around here always chase us away, but you helped. What do you want?
Shh, I'll do the talking. So what do you want, Ishiki? I mean, is there something we can do to pay you back?
I'm trying to help Kuali.
You're too late. He's been sentenced to death. We can't do anything.
And Chimali the guard hates you.
Would Chimali chase you if you provoked him?
Why?
Because if he's not at his post, I can get to Kuali.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, you can tell Kuali to meet us at the cave. He'll know where it is. It'll be safe for him there.
I will.
Let's go. Asto, Raimi, with me. Samin, watch our backs. Then run to the cave. Stand back, Ishiki. We'll give you an opening. Chimali, you coward! You'll end your life as a slave. Come taste my blade.
Yeah, and there's llama patties too.
I do like that. The feeble attempt at an insult, so they just throw llama poo at him. Yeah, there are a few llamas around the town, by the way. I'm meant to press F on for an achievement. I think technically I don't have that done.
They were just herbs. I beg you,
Your brother told me of your troubles.
Wait, who are you?
Someone who wants to help.
I never wanted any of these to happen. I was only trying to help my mother get well.
Where are the herbs? Give them to me. I will heal your mother. Go. Your friends are waiting for you at the cave.
Thank you. Here are the herbs. I'll run as fast as I can.
So yeah, these people are pretty brutalized, right? This is the whole thing of, would you steal a loaf of bread to fill your family? Well, he stole herbs to help his mum and got majorly punished for it.
I thought I told you to go.
Kuali is safe and I have the herbs your wife needs.
Really? And did you come to cure her, or to barter for the king's horn?
Here, this will help you.
Bless you, Ishiki. Kabil, quit being an ass. Give her the horn.
Here, with respect to the future king. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
And so there we have it. We have the horn. It's funny. I really don't remember the contrivance as to why these guys had the horn and, you know, Etzli didn't already. But let's head back to the cave. And for the next section, I'll tell you, I know the cave is meant to be a bit hidden. It is so hidden in terms of exploring the city. Genuinely, it took me so long to find the crack in the wall again. I think I should have just used a base camp and fast traveled directly in here. Choosing to walk took me a long time, but here we are.
Last to leave and first to return. Jonah's stories of you are true.
The king's horn, as requested.
Did Kabil give you any trouble?
You were right about his wife. She definitely had a way with his heart.
Thank you for this, Lara.
Of course. Uchu, what did you mean last to leave and first to return?
The men I have retrieving the other 2 items, they both left 3 days ago. Neither has returned.
Do you think something's happened to them?
It's Quincy that concerns me the most. He's young, likes to take risks.
Jumps into the water before checking to see how deep it is. I know the type.
Jonah.
Jonah's right. That describes Quenti perfectly.
It's nice to actually have a little interaction with Jonah, and that was quite funny, actually,
I
too.
never should have sent Quenti to that damn place.
What place is that?
The old cistern. It's where the remains of Manco are kept hidden from the cult.
Who is Manco?
He was a farmer who led Sairi and Amaru's ancestors out of Cusco to safety centuries ago. He is known as the peasant savior. It's his amulet we need for the coronation.
Why was Manco hidden away?
Manco's followers were known as the Order of the Peasant Savior. This rebellion was born from it. When the cult of Kukulkan first took power, they tried to wipe out the order. Manco was hidden away in a secret place and kept safe. But over time, as the order dwindled, the memory of that place has faded.
If you like, I could go look for Quenti.
You've done a lot already. Bringing back the King's Horn was a big gesture of friendship.
I don't mind, really. Maybe Quenti can show me the best cliffs to jump off.
Please don't encourage him. The entrance to the cistern is a cave above the white tree. Follow the trail. It'll lead you to it.
I'm telling you, Uchu, I have never heard of anyone getting bitten by a piranha on land before.
It was a very angry fish.
I bet. Hey, Lara, come and join us.
So with that done, you see, Jonah wants to talk to us about a DLC quest. Now, that I haven't done. I have no idea what's coming up with that. We're going to be doing that very soon. That dialogue about the piranha actually kind of made me laugh the first time I heard it, but I think we're going to hear it. I mean, I'll probably cut the rest out. Every time I return there, we hear that same dialogue over and over and over and over again, and it just completely lost it for me in the end.
Uchu said the entrance to the cistern was a cave above the white tree.
Oh, no, I was wrong. Earlier in the episode when I said, oh, this is unblocked that area between the rocks. No, now we've unblocked the area behind the rock. So the start of the last episode, I was here. I climbed this tree and I was desperately mousing around trying to find this, little area because the map has suggested this was a part of Paititi with pickups. But it's only here that finally, we return through this platforming and check it out. The cave entrance is open. The game actually bugged in a weird way here as well. You know how, pretty much every time you shimmy through those is a loading screen? This time the loading screen just threw a rock in my face. Kind of strange. But pickups everywhere, including this document.
The threat of the disease held at bay, we soon learned that Lopez had come and gone. Some of us began to suspect his betrayal, while others worried for his safety. The only course of action was to remain in the city, the reasoning twofold. We'd be ready when Lopez came to his senses and returned the artifact. Or this would be the easiest point from which to mount a search for him. We struck an accord with the king. We would become his royal guard, physicians, and priests.
So this is how Trinity, the cult of Kukulkan, got control first.
This shows a pilgrimage from a great city. This must be Manco, leading the priestess's ancestors out of Cusco.
And as you've heard many times throughout this bit of the story, they did it because there was a great famine and a lot of plague in the town, so there was a bit of instability that they could exploit.
No one's been through here in centuries. This has to be the right place.
A pretty simple trap to avoid due to our perks.
This could be an effigy of the peasant savior. It might have been stolen by the cult of Kukulkan to keep the Paititians from worshipping it. Or maybe it was given to them as payment for protection. The remains of the peasant savior have been moved to an undisclosed location. We've had reports of the cult stealing objects and artifacts and holding them hostage in exchange for docility.
I love that word, docility.
We will not allow such a sacrilege to happen to Manco.
By the way, that weird gap in Lara's speech there that I just spoke in the middle of, that wasn't editing. The game just has a really strange pause in that little moment. Just another little example of all the just strange, odd bits of jank, whether it's the dialogue, or the controls, or the camera, or the environment clipping and things. It's like this game came out a year too early, and a bunch of weird little aberrative parts of it never had enough time in the oven to be cooked away. Oh, what a metaphor I just came up with there. So the start of this crypt is really cool. I love the layout of it. It's like Tomb Raider 2, Temple of Zion. You open into a big room with a bridge. You're right near the entrance.
Manco's resting place. This looks suspicious.
And as soon as we walk on the bridge, of course, it's gonna fall. So close and yet so far. So now we've got to climb all the way back up, which also involves playing and manipulating with the water levels again. We've seen a little bit of in Shadow, obviously the big feature of Shadow, swimming and stuff. I really love this stuff. In any game, I love puzzles where the water level is being manipulated or just seeing the environment change. And this is basically the best version of it in Shadow, so a real highlight for me.
This looks like a procession of the dead. It's the Order hiding Manko from the cult of Kukulkan.
And as we go, unlike a lot of crypts, this one has like this extra thing where you can interact with these walls and get a bit more detail. So basically you go in a side room, pull a lever, the water raises.
This shows burial dolls, pottery, and textiles being placed in here with the dead. This wasn't just a hiding place. The Order turned it into a crypt.
And then now that the water's raised, you can go back to the central room and swim out. There you notice a door was closing after I pulled the lever. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, that's weird. That essentially did nothing. But actually, it's a very cool telegraph for a trick that they're about to play on you.
The Order left members behind as sentinels when they sealed the cistern. All these bones. They sacrificed themselves to protect this place.
When we pull this third and final lever, the door you came in on is going to be shut, see? And this one's shut really quick. So it's like, oh, God, where do I go? And you panic and, you know, you've got infinite breath, so whatever. And you find a secret way up.
Hello, Manko. Now, where's the amulet?
But, you know, some people might come here without all the breath perks, and, you know, that's going to be a little bit scarier.
Now, to get this back to Uchu.
So I did quite like it. I thought this was a nice little crypt. One of my favourites.
Pure silver. From what I understand, Manko was a simple farmer. This must have been made posthumously as an offering to honour him.
It's also one of those rare crypts where we're tomb raiding, but not actually tomb raiding because they've asked us to come and grab this stuff. We're going to give it back to them.
There's light coming through this wall. Another sealed-off passageway, I bet.
The exit to this crypt I quite liked as well. You know, the second we pick up the final thing, she says, oh, there's light and there's a wall and we can just break through. You know, you run the risk there of that being kind of annoying because it's like, well, why did I brave all the traps? Couldn't we have just found the back door first? You know, I really feel like they should lampshade that in dialogue at some point. That would be so good and, you know, all would be forgiven. But as you can see from the footage, it's a really involved path back out regardless. A lot of the ways out of these crypts and tombs in this game were done very well.
I'm telling you, Uchu, I have never heard of anyone getting bitten by a piranha on land.
I'm telling you, Uchu. Don't worry, I will cut a bunch of them out. I got that burned into my memory, though.
Laura, I'm glad you're back safely. Quinty returned shortly after you left. In one piece, but empty-handed, I'm afraid.
He's safe. That's the important thing.
I wish we could say the same for Zan. Kukulkan curses his coronation, I swear it.
Zan? Is he the other man you sent out?
Yes, he was looking for the champion's bow. A group of hunters just pulled his body from the wilderness.
Uchu, I'm sorry about your friend. If there is some good news in all of this, I did find the Savior's amulet.
What? You did? Lara, that's incredible.
Here.
Thank you.
And of course, he's going to ask us to get the third one.
Lara, I hate to ask you, but...
But would I go and get the champion's bow?
It's a lot to ask. This is the most difficult of the items to retrieve. Zan was one of our best.
May I ask what makes this bow so special?
Queen Unaratu's ancestors carved it from the first ceiba tree to grow in the wilderness outside the city. It has been handed down through generations. She bestowed it upon Sairi, Etzli's father, on their wedding day. It joins the two families together, but it was lost many years ago, taken by the Nahual.
The Narwhal? That's someone who has the power to transform into an animal, right?
Yes. This one stalks the jungle outside the city. Envious, it tricks Sairi into giving it the bow. Etzli is the rightful heir of the champion's bow. Without it, he cannot be king.
Okay, point the way.
Thank you. You will find the entrance directly across from here, up the shore of the river.
Don't worry, I'll do my best to get the bow.
And you can see we're at the point where I'm getting Steam achievements, as in I never did these on my previous playthroughs of Shadow. We're well off into new content here. You know, in that cutscene as well, I'm really interested. It's happened twice now, in those weird fades to black in the middle. I'm guessing that this quest storyline was originally written, like maybe if there was going to be a lot more Paititi content, and it would slowly unfold more as time goes along, but in the end, you just kind of run through Paititi so fast that they just did them all back to back. Or maybe once upon a time this was going to be a part of the main storyline. It kind of has that vibe as well, with Jonah involved. As I mentioned a few episodes back, when you just suddenly see you're at the point of no return, that really shocked me on my first few playthroughs of this game. Like, I thought we would have a lot more. And maybe part of the reason for that strange pacing is that, yeah, originally this was going to be some main story Paititi content, but they thought it was a bit too weak. It didn't playtest very well, I don't know, and it all got cut out onto the side.
If it's anywhere, I'll bet the champion's bow is in there.
So I liked this quest. It's a bit of combat. We haven't had much. We only get the bow, and we fight a whole new enemy. So yeah, remember how I said that there's a Steam achievement for fighting like jaguars, but I only got it on like my third playthrough of the game? You only need to kill 5, and I only got it on my third playthrough because there's like so few encounters actually with them. I wonder if this guy counts as one. It's really messed up and interesting, isn't it? That, like, I mean, the boss fight itself is, you know, no more special than any of the other big cat fights we've had. But someone's come along and put all this armor and gear on it. And I love the cutscene when you kill this thing. It looks so sad and just beaten down. So yeah, we only get the bow. There's not much I can do. I just drink, you know, a bunch of my potions and go for it. The reason I only have the bow is the same as for all the combat sections we'll find as this episode goes along. When you're in Paititi, I guess to respect their customs or whatever, she won't use any of her other guns, even though we're totally on our own here, essentially out in the wilderness. So I'm not too sure about the mechanic. And it's funny, because there's been a break in the Let's Play, it means, guys, I haven't actually fired the shotgun or any of the actual weapons for a really long time. That'll be something interesting to look forward to, I suppose. Oh, like, look at it. It's just so well animated. I think the music's good here. I think Shadow was at its best when it was like Lara the animals and it was about this predator stuff and about surviving and the risks of the jungle. Like, look, oh, and we had to kill it. You know, this is where I think they can really pull off kind of the more mature tone. And it really pulled at my heartstrings, but so little of it ended up in the game. And of course, here's the bow, the golden bow that we've been looking for.
All right, let's get this bow back to Uchu.
On my way back, I found this body that I guess I should have interacted with first.
Strange. This kill hasn't been eaten. It's been left out for any animal to take, but none have dared.
I guess hinting at, you know, the big fight we just went through and the danger of the monster in the jungle.
It was a very angry fish. The champion's bow. The final piece to herald in the future of Paititi. And what of the Nahual? Did you face it?
I did. It's dead.
Tell me, what shape did it take?
It was a jaguar.
Ah, the most powerful of its forms. It must have seen you as a formidable foe.
Uchu, how long has this Noal been in the jungle?
As children, there were always stories to keep us from straying beyond the bounds of Paititi. But since Amaru took power, the Nahual has been more active.
You believe Amaru commands the Noal?
Yes, to keep his hands on our throats, but no longer. You have done a great thing for the future of Paititi, Lara. I would be honored if you would join us for the ceremony of kings.
The honor would be mine.
Here, I have something for you. This is from the armor Etzli's father, Sairi, wore. It is a symbol of your bravery. I would like you to have it.
Thank you, Uchu.
So there's kind of this cool idea that the cult of Kukulkan geared that thing up and preyed on their superstitions, and this was one way in which they kept people from going from the outside. You find that they use a bunch of tactics to do that. You know, in the previous episode, there were those pickups talking about how they said you get haunted by demons if you left, but there was a guy who said, well, I left and I'm fine. They don't really let you think or breathe on the implications of that, though, because then immediately we go into another cutscene, which, again, kind of has strange vibes. So this is Etzli's coronation. And it kind of has like main game vibes. But here's the weird thing. Tell me if you notice something strange about this cutscene, and Etzli in particular, as it goes along.
The sound of the king's horn has called you all to bear witness to a new beginning. Welcome to the ceremony of kings.
Etzli, son of Unuratu, son of Sairi, step forth. Within the Savior's amulet is the wisdom of your ancestors. Listen to it so that you will enjoin equity and mercy in all judgments. Within the champion's bow is the strength of your ancestors. Respect it so that you will enjoin responsibility and fairness in leadership. Finally, within you, young Etzli, is the future. Infuse your role as king with action. Create hope. Create love, not by passively waiting for grace to come down from up on high, but by doing what you can to make grace happen yourself.
Notice anything seems a bit off?
People of Paititi, it is with great pride that I introduce to you Etzli, son of Unuratu, son of Sairi, and your king!
Yeah, and I don't just mean the scene seems somewhat underwhelming. Well, maybe one of the reasons it feels underwhelming is, have you noticed this? Etzli doesn't speak in any of it. That whole quest is about all these artifacts to put him on the throne. You'd think he should have some dialogue, right? He has none. He says nothing. And they're just like awkwardly cutting around it, trying to make it work. He's like standing there looking all imposing and, you know, standing bravely in front of the people. I can't believe they managed to pull off this quest without... I think clearly what happened here was some kind of production issue where they couldn't get the voice actor back after they'd written the quest. Or something. And it just seems, it's just a little bit more jank, isn't it? I wonder whether that might be why in the end it did get cut off into side content. But there you have it, another major objective complete. And now all we have is this other quest to save Colqui. And he's located in another area with a crypt, which actually you've already seen on this montage stuff, because I've cut it a bit weird, saving the quest stuff for last. Led me to this document en route as well.
Villager claims to have seen a strange creature in the streets. They followed it to a walled-in alley where it disappeared. Citizen described similar experience in Upper City. Woke to discover something trying to climb in a second-story window. When she yelled, it dropped to the street and disappeared. We'll continue to monitor.
So that was quite refreshing to listen to, actually. That Devils in the Dark story, I'm pretty sure it's talking about the Yashil, which you'll notice in these past couple of episodes have taken a real back seat. Well, don't worry, when we get to the end of the game soon, the Yashil will come back in full force. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, one of the DLCs seems to be all about them, where it suggests they actually are magical. So up the stairs leads to the crypt and a bunch of collectibles, which you already saw me gather. Down the stairs and through this door leads to Colqui's quest. And this is the one with the really, really difficult combat that I failed a couple of times. Because all we get is the bow and, well, I'm kind of spoiling it here. Just see for yourself. We're going to get ambushed.
Colqui! Colqui!
Colqui came while you were freeing the others. We didn't know he was a jaguar warrior. He offered me payment. How could I refuse?
You should have, Boma. Kukulkan hates our... Death to the one who defies Kukulkan!
There! The outsider Kukulkan sent us for! Kill her! Kill her!
Man, that smash in the shoulder with a machete. It's not actually called a machete, is it? It has a very specific name, that weapon. I've forgotten what it is. Anyway, yeah, that really makes me cringe. It basically just clips into his model, into his shoulder, but it works really well from, like, the gore angle. Anyway, yeah, so a bunch of members of the cult of Kukulkan, and there's like 4 or even 5 waves in this assault. I also am kind of low on resources, so the most important one, obviously, is being able to heal. But I think now that we're on the harder difficulty, healing in combat and stuff has changed. So, you know, I die really fast here. Attempt 2 goes way better. Like, I managed to clear, like, 4 waves in a row. I'm sitting there thinking, or maybe it was 3 waves. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, this is clearly, like, the last guy. And actually, watching this footage back, obviously, I've just cut a huge chunk out here. I don't know whether he is the last guy. He might be. But I end up dying, and honestly, it took me ages to get here. And I actually had to sort of stop and breathe because I could just tell there wasn't going to be a checkpoint halfway. It was going to bring me right back to the campfire, and, you know, I'd have another 10, 15 minutes to manage to clear this. So, yeah, I get distracted by that archer, and then this guy just hits me. So, yeah, I don't know if that's the last wave. Maybe that was the last 3 guys. I don't know. Anyway, so here's my ultimately successful run. I'll play it on a high speed for you guys, just so that it's not too tedious or long to watch. First wave's pretty easy to deal with. Obviously, we do also have poison arrows, like the explosive minefield trap poison arrows. And that's... oh, and I grabbed some, like, crates, which allow me to heal a bit more and do a bit more crafting on the fly. Like, making arrows and refreshing my ammunition on the fly was kind of a big deal here. But it was the poison arrows that really saved this run. I think I used some of those explosives as well to shoot people when they're near them. See, I hide in this corner. The melee guys come rushing at me, and I can kill them by putting a mine on them. Now, anyone else who walks past is gonna trigger the mine and turn it into a poison field, so I get some free kills. Like, there was a kill at the bottom of the stairs down there. And I'm low, and I just basically need to eventually snipe the final archers who are, you know, waiting around in the edge. And it worked out very well. So, yeah, kind of an actual little bit of stealth survival... you know, guerrilla warfare type gameplay, which is what I would want most of the combat to be here. I was quite impressed with it. But now how's this for an anticlimax? Kulqui's dead. There's no dialogue at the end of this or anything. So that's it. It's just over. And there you have it. That's the final quest here in Paititi. Where we'll go from the episode now is we're going to cut through some... and I have to actually go record these now. We are going to go back to the other maps. Kuakyaku, Cozumel... They're at, like, various states of, like, 80% done, 90% done. It's just a couple of pickups in each map, though some of them are really difficult and tricky to find. Like, I remember specifically in the first jungle area, there's some really horrible thing that I could not figure out how to do at the start of the LP. I'm going to have to go dig around on the internet and hope not too many links are dead. I'll grab those, and we'll see how the commentary goes in just a minute. Well, just a minute for you guys. For me, probably like an hour or 2, something like that. All right. Whew. Oh, man, I feel good right now. I'm speaking now to you into the microphone with 100%. Oh, well, kind of. I mean, we'll get to that in a second. But I've got all the pickups. Oh, my Lord. So good. So, yeah, I thought I'd start with Kuakyaku. And then we'll do the Peruvian jungle, and then like we'll go in reverse, basically order, and then we'll end at Cozumel, which was where we very first started. So for Kuakyaku, the first thing I wanted to do was get eaten alive by piranhas. Ooh! Also, by the way, I've changed our outfit, as you'll notice. I'll change it as we go through the different locations. Just any excuse to show as many opportunities of the outfits as possible. So yeah, now we have this amazing underwater sequence. I absolutely adore this. I thought it was so cool when we first played it. Remember in the last episode I mentioned that piranhas don't really get used enough throughout the game. Well, they had their fill of me here. I died so many times. But if you remember, the last time we were here in the building on the right, I showed you a treasure chest. And at that time, we hadn't picked up the lockpicks. We couldn't open it at all. And I specifically said to you guys, okay, we're going to have to swim back to this at a later point. Well, yeah, here we are. We're at the later point. And in fact, of all 3 of the maps that we're about to, you know, run through and grab some stuff in, all of them have at least one. Actually, I think they all have exactly one treasure chest for me to open. And with each one, we get a pretty good reward and a relic.
Inti is the Incan sun god, created by the great god Viracocha. Incan rulers consider themselves direct descendants of Inti, as he is the patron of empire and military conquest.
Maybe interesting as well, I found in the back of the room another way to like break out through into the entrance of the area, but we have to swim. This really isn't that useful. We have to swim all the way through the sequence anyway, because it all starts with a massive dive and you can't get back up to the previous camp. So instead of making you guys watch all that, and believe me, there were a bunch more piranha deaths, let's cut to the next pickup, which is another chest. And it's actually really kind of well hidden. It's at Kuakyaku, the town itself, near one of the first monoliths we ever saw, but it's in an underwater passage, like sneakily underneath. On my way to it, I found there was a monolith underwater here too. Which is funny, on my very first playthrough, I got this really quickly, but missed it on this one, I suppose. So this is Inti. There's no mistaking that bright golden disc. Inti, the most important god of the Inca. He was the god of the sun, protector of the people, and the provider of warmth and light. Some legends also credit him with teaching humans the way of civilization. And the Inca emperors were either considered his lineal descendants or the physical incarnations of Inti on Earth, depending on which emperor you asked. Yeah, sorry, I'm voice acting this because you may have noticed again, it's muted. Yeah, this little montage I gathered here. Basically, guys, I had to mute it because there's YouTube video audio baked in and playing on the other side, which ordinarily wouldn't be a problem. What I have is an add-on on Chrome. That means any specific Chrome tab, I can route through, a different audio device. So I can put it through my regular speakers with the game, or I can separate it and put it through, say, the monitor's audio. And in that way, I can separate it with the recorder. Now, that works for nearly every video I ever make. However, there seems to have just been some kind of update with Chrome, which means if I play and then unpause, like a Twitch stream or a YouTube video or something, it ends up accidentally rerouting in. So as I was in the middle of this collectathon, and I know this footage right now of me at Kuwakyaku hasn't been very long, but we're genuinely about half an hour in already as I've been running around and replaying sequences. At some point, YouTube audio ended up getting in. It's only going to be for the next few minutes, so don't worry. But yeah, it's a shame as well because Lara's voice acting at that Inti moment, she like laughs. There's like a little bit more texture and flow. She doesn't sound so dead and like blunt with her delivery in that one. And well, you got me instead, speaking probably way too quickly. So for what it's worth, cutting forwards here is exactly where you need to go. We're very near the monolith right now. Head underwater sort of on the left, much more on the left, near the stairs. And, well, yeah, you'll find this little area here very well hidden in the mist and the dust. Super obscure, I think. With a treasure chest, which would be a horrible reward to come across if you got here before the lockpicks. But there you have it. It gives us an artifact as well called Copal. Too young to be amber. It may be Copal and it smells wonderful. I don't know what Copal is. This game, honestly, for all that you can criticize it, they clearly did so much research. It's unreal. Apparently it smells nice. What is that? Just very young amber? Is that a name we call that? It's kind of funny as well. I've often got the distinct impression that they just put pickups around loosely wherever. They never actually thought about what relic was going to be acquired from where. So there, Lara's talking about how nice it smells. Well, Lara, you're underwater, right? Like, in theory, there could have been a better relic to put in that chest so you wouldn't have this weird moment where you have to suspend your disbelief. But that's a pretty nitpicky thing to talk about. So, next, there was one relic that we didn't have on the map that wasn't like the treasure chest relic. And I knew it was somewhere around here. It took me a long time to look directly up and realize there was some kind of rope pulley. Oh, yeah, and there was a bonus thing. That was one of the challenges we did ages ago, and we actually, they put an extra one in for us. So watch how I platform up to this. I have no idea how you're meant to do this. Obviously, having chalk turned off, I wasn't quite sure if that wall you could double jump up her. But basically, I jump onto this. She's not actually doing the tightrope animation with her arms stretched out, so I don't think any of that was actually what I was supposed to do. I think we were supposed to come from a very different angle on this one. But now that we're on this platform, we can rope swing to this one, and this next relic actually is kind of a fun one. It's one of those relics, but not really. It's another little clue about Porvenir oil fields, which, there's a few dotted around the shanty town. This one was a promotional toy of an oil derrick made out of cheap plastic and copper, and there's a logo for a company called Porvenir on the base of it. The way that she read that in the voice acting was like she'd never heard of Porvenir, which doesn't really make sense now that we're in the end of the game. But, so there you go. That's the story, fortune and glory complete. Now that we've seen everything about, the oil mining operations, which in the end ended up a very, very small part of this game. It's not like in Tomb Raider 2013 where you see all the industry that used to be on the island there and it felt really magical. This felt like a sidebar of a sidebar here in Shadow. And yeah, now here I'm kind of just exploring. Maybe this was the actual way we're supposed to walk up. Really close to Kuwakyaku completion now. I'm at 92%. And do you know what I noticed? Really weird. I think we talked about this on a previous part. I'm missing an entire base camp. Seriously. And also 4 survival caches, so clearly there's some kind of explorer's map out there that should be showing me those caches, and I don't have any of it. So I looked online for the location of one cache, and it said it was on this beach, and coincidentally, as I come over to this beach, this is right near where we enter, I realised, this was the last base camp, number 5. And again, I'm sure my first playthrough ever, not on the Let's Play, or even after that, I'm sure I found this camp. And so here, there was the backpack with it. You know, it strikes me maybe there's usually a backpack really close to a camp, and that's like a pattern that I'm only now just realizing, like how in the previous part there was a backpack kind of near one. So that, thankfully, has now revealed the last couple of survival cache locations for us. I got a little bit distracted, so I've cut here. But one of the caches was on the beach, you know, why I was originally on my way here. The next one is in the village, and this is kind of one of those tricky things. I feel like it's a complete mess of pickups and insane stuff in the very center of the village, because you have all of the houses you can explore, all of the gangways and walking areas. You got the roofs, and then you have, you know, for at least for a good section of it, all the water, and swimming around in the water is kind of nuts. It's a bit like at Paititi earlier, where you saw one of the treasure chests that I had was like under the water, but also between all these planks and things around the dock. So I was kind of nervy about collecting this cache, but as you can see, it was one of the first places I checked, just, you know, square underneath this house, and with that, we know there's nothing else to find there, so pretty good. For cache 3, I just followed the in-game map, went north of town slightly, waded through that bit of mud, and, you know, these caches are kind of BS, right? What is my tip-off? What is my clue that there's a cache here? It's just a random bit of ground. But yeah, it's in this fairly uninteresting corner. That's number 3. And number 4 was over at the docks base camp, which is pretty far away. When I was doing the swimming with the piranhas, I was watching so closely because I didn't want to go to the really distant areas, like multiple times. And this was fairly close to the base camp as well. If you guys don't remember, this was like one of the early fights where we pop up underwater and we drag people down, you know, with stealth kills and stuff. You know, I was watching a review of this game where someone pointed out, you know, they took massive offense to the streamlined combat in this game and how it's so much, you know, so much of the action is just kind of weak. And they pointed out that the entire game has only like 14 combat sequences in it. It was either 14 or 17, which is really low. Like, if you just go from the start to the end, there's very little actual fighting, and this is like fight number 5 or something. That kind of blew my mind to sort of see that laid out so far. I think maybe, guys, when we start the end of the game in a minute, we've got like 3 or 4 more to do. It's like you've seen most of them already. It's just crazy, you know, all those perks, all that time into all the gunplay, everything in the game engine, and it's in service of what? Just like a handful of little fights? That's one of the weird things about this game, I think, and when you look at $100 million budget for 17 sequences, it seems strange. Pachamama. Now, there's a lot of comments about bugs from this one online. A dragon. This must be depicting Pachamama, the Inca goddess of motherhood, earth, and time. She presided over fertility, the harvest, planting. Her body was the mountains. She was also the cause of earthquakes. People used to make miniature pieces of clothing with highly intricate designs just to burn it in front of her. And it would also account for the scorch marks on the floor, and the brown stains must be llama blood, another popular sacrifice. So Lara mentioned that thing of like burn marks at the bottom of the statue. Wow, I just read that out so quick, hoping to beat her, and I beat her by a long way. I looked at the floor. There aren't really any burn marks there, but hey, let's just imagine she can see them on the stone or something. And there you go. That's all the stuff about the gods. I was getting kind of sick of hearing, you know, story after story after story of Inca, Mayan, Aztec gods. Well, because, you know, it's always just like a generic name and then a generic idea. Well, there you have it, guys. That's that story now complete. Not to say that the stuff about the gods that they put in this game wasn't accurate or anything, because it clearly was. Well, so now we move on to the Peruvian jungle. We're back to the start of the game, the first map, kind of, if Cozumel doesn't count. And in fact, we're right near where the plane crashed and everything, at the very beginning, where we were first learning to, like, cut down ropes and stuff. And this is where that big, like, really tricky secret was that... a previous point on this Let's Play, I spent ages trying to figure out. Well, hey, look, come back with fresh eyes. I swear I'm not using a guide for this here. Just thinking of some way to get low down. And I check the cliffs here, and I see, oh, look, you can climb on that cliff. And I found it pretty much straight away, so quite happy with this. It definitely does go to show that if you're really struggling with something, you know, and I think this is good advice for almost anything in life. Taking a break, even though you really probably don't want to. Getting away from it and then coming back with that new perspective. It's nearly always a really, really smart thing to do. So yeah, I guess I just missed this, and I actually kind of love this. This is like classic Tomb Raider here. Some kind of thing that you can climb down that you didn't notice off the edge of something that opens up a secret room. You know, this is exactly what the old secrets felt like, and it was difficult, but it was really satisfying to find here in the new game. And by the way, yes, as you can hear, we have audio back. We'll have audio back for all of this now. It was only that bit while we were at Kuwait Kyaku. Ironically enough, the YouTube audio that was baked in was a video about the Tomb Raider remasters, the classic games. So it was Tomb Raider related, but, you know, you don't need old Lara's grunts and sound effects and Core Design's music cues playing over Shadow, do you? So there you go, with a bonus document in here too.
This polished piece of silver is lined with gold and inlaid with turquoise gems. It appears to be a decorative mirror of sorts.
Oh god, examine to find the hidden information. You know, I'm not going to edit this out. Look at how long I'm spinning around here, and it keeps playing the ding noise. When this finally procs, it's just going to say, oh, I wanted you to look at the back of the mirror. So why is it so hard to proc then?
An ornate filigree depicting Eshel is carved onto its backside.
I was like looking really closely at the edges, seeing if there was like a blood stain or a stray hair or something on it. No, it was the back.
My dear Nina, once again the attempt to write is fraught with difficulty. However, those flies and bees and bugs galore that I wrote of before, all of those pinhead-sized stinging horrors, would have been a welcome attrition now that I faced down tooth and claw. I fought bravely, but the confrontation did not go in my favor. I will spare you the details out of compassion and not egotism. My wounds have been packed with yarrow and are stable, but I can feel infection in the blood. If you are reading this, then you know I have not survived this place. I instructed Jack not to go on. We lost young Rimmel a few weeks ago. This place, Nina, is not meant for the likes of men, and I will not rob you of a son as I have a husband. I'm tired now. Jack is sleeping by the fire, and I am certain that when he awakes, I will have slipped into my own slumber. I love you, Nina. Good night, Percy.
I was really expecting this to finish the story, Expedition Unknown here, as most documents have been finishing stories. But no, we actually still have a whole other one detailing their story that I missed right at the end of the Peruvian jungle. So this is kind of the start. Right before you get to Kuwait-Yaku, there was just a blatant document on the floor, which I'm going to go grab as well. But before we do that, I have a challenge to do here. The only challenges in the whole Peruvian jungle are both here at the beginning of the map. One of them was to shoot down those feathery bird nests, which appeared in a previous episode. The other one is to pick flowers from the treetops. And it's really easy. One of the most simple challenges in the game. You know, when I think about how brutal some of the challenges have been, especially across this entire trilogy. Do you remember that really hard one in Tomb Raider 2013, like near the bunker? Oh my god, and it was like some archery thing that you had to shoot way off in the distance. Here, you just look for big, bright red flowers, and essentially any tree you climb, you're going to end up finding one of the nests. I think the first one you pick up, it says that I think it calls them like Nirasanda plants or something, and they're good for perception mixtures. So there's a good chance I was picking these up in other areas of the game. Like, it's just one of the general, and I'm going to say this with air quotes here, survival elements, right? It's just it happens to be a challenge here at the beginning. Well, there you go, look. So we just picked some flowers and that's the challenge done. All I'm looking for now to finish this map is one document and one relic. Now, the first of those that I go for on the in-game map looked like it was in one of these annoying areas where it could have been at the start or it could have been at the end. And naturally, I tried the wrong place. Turns out it was actually right near the start. This sextant. And again, I think I got this on my first ever playthrough just by accident.
In the early 19th century, this was used to measure the angle between an astronomical object and the horizon for the purposes of celestial navigation.
I like this so often. I'm really reliant on Lara's information to actually see what I'm looking at. But here, I mean, come on, we already knew what a sextant was, didn't we? So again, hidden information, and now I'm spinning it thinking, I swear the camera must be bugged. There has to be a bug here. What could we possibly be looking for on this one? Can you guess?
There's an inscription here. To my son, Jack. May you never lose sight of your horizons.
Well, this one's like the opposite. An inscription. What inscription? I actually stayed on the screen here, spinning it around, trying to spot it, and I can't. But there you go. So that's Expedition Unknown complete. And here I'll cut us forward. We're now at the final base camp, headed towards Kuwait-Yaku. I think I'm actually technically in like a jaguar hunting ground right now. I'm pretty sure one of them decides it tries to take a bite out of me, which again is kind of a novel experience because you don't fight them often. It would be really cool if, since we did that quest with the narwhal, that variety of jaguar could just be around now, because it's a fun model that you don't see otherwise, right? Anyway, yeah, it was just on the floor here. I mean, how did we miss that? I can sort of forgive myself of it.
18th of July. I awoke this morning at the sight of my father wringing his handkerchief tightly between his two hands. Wide-eyed and unblinking, he stared in Raleig's direction. Raleigh had passed. Infection had set into his wounds days ago, and shortly after, fever took hold. Between fits of cold sweats, laboured groans of pain, and demented ramblings, Raleigh had somehow been able to insist on forging ahead. Father had tried to reason with him, telling him to turn back, to let us carry the torch, but Raleigh made it clear. Turning our backs on him would have been leaving him there to die. We forged ahead. We were as far away from civilization as we had ever been, and we foolishly continued to trudge forward. So long, old friend.
And that one's Expedition Unknown 2. I don't really know why they broke those collections into, like, originals and then twos. I guess because there's just so many of some of these stories that it's nice to give people incremental progress or something. Well, they have it. That's 100% everywhere now. I'm mousing through very happily. Leaving just the original map, Cozumel. So, back to Mexico. And I kind of had a weird thought in my head with this. I was thinking, when we go back there, are we going to be able to travel around that town with the big crowd and stuff? Well, as it turns out, no. And I don't really know what got in my head, because I knew that. I knew that you couldn't go back to those places. In fact, you can go back to almost nowhere here at Cozumel. You get a little bit of the opening tomb. And when I say a little bit, I mean, you get like 2 sections. Like 2 chambers. That's it. This is easily the smallest thing possible. So let's recap our goals here. First of all, there was a challenge to shoot down these like turquoise whistles. And I was talking about it in the original episode. I think that was probably episode 1. Maybe it was episode 2. And right near the end, we missed the last one. In fact, I seem to remember editing in that during the last puzzle I had seen the whistle but not collected it. So we're going to shoot down that final whistle. We missed a cache, which was actually really quite well hidden. And there's a treasure chest here as well, which would have been impossible to get on our first run through. And it's also kind of hidden. On top of that, we have the reinforced knife now. And if you remember when we were here on our original playthrough, there is a wall that you can only cut through when you have the reinforced knife. Now, as it turns out, the reason for that to exist, here's the wall here, it's because on your first adventure through, like that corridor floods, and there's like that big action sequence where Lara nearly drowns and so on. This gives you a couple of pickups of jade, and it allows you to bypass that underwater tunnel, which is kind of buggy and janky, I think, if you try to go near or go through or whatever. So this is kind of your end game access back into the second major chamber. Which is kind of fun, and you get a bit of jade to boot, like I say. I have been selling my jade as we've been going along, buying upgrades. Actually, I don't think I mentioned it in the commentary just now, but in the Paititi section, I went to a merchant and bought a crap ton of upgrades for, like, max carry capacity for, like, salvage and whatever, so we're nearly maxed out on all of that stuff, which apparently can lead to a bug, I guess I'll talk about in just a moment. So back to platforming along the bells. Some of this is really easy now that all the puzzling is done. Some of it's really janky now that the puzzling is done. This is just all around kind of a weird chamber to return to. And, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we also just missed a document. I like a really basic, really simple document. It's here on my left. How did we miss that on the first episode?
A secondary party, a few days behind the main pilgrimage, reported strange things on the route. The beasts had become more ferocious, and the jungle itself more dangerous. The trees and vines gnarled and twisted, growing thorns as long as a man's finger and sharp as blades.
So, a story from another expedition here, the rearguard. You know, I don't even really have a good sense of who exactly this was. I don't think they're talking about, you know, Forces expedition or anyone else that we've been going on. So many expeditions are mentioned in this. So then we get the really cool secrets. Right, we can make a rope bridge right here and use our handy rope ascender, which is a bit quicker than before. And the trick is to turn around and double up the rope. Now, I kind of, and you can't rope ascend on this second one, sadly. I kind of really like this because if you imagine that you're a new player and you've just learned, they've literally just taught you that you can do this. You know, maybe you didn't play 2013, maybe you didn't play Rise of the Tomb Raider, so this is very novel to you. They bake a secret into the tutorial itself. Like, anyone clever enough to turn around straight away, they'll find this. Get a bit of gold, but it's a lockpick chest. So best hope you're returning, or it's New Game Plus, and you could get this the first time.
This is the Aztec god Ipa Totec, who presided over the cycle of life, death, and rebirth in all its forms, including agriculture, vegetation in general, revolutionary conflict, and skin diseases. He tore his own skin off to feed his people, and is usually depicted wearing a suit of human flesh. This self-flaying may account for how often he's shown wearing stripes of different colors, predominantly yellow but also tones of red and tan. After wearing the flesh of their captives for 20 days, devotees of Ipototec would hold on to the skins for their medicinal properties.
And, well, I was quite satisfied with that. Yeah, I'm a sucker. I like Steam achievements, and we got achievement. My first time ever getting all the chests in the main game, and the treasure chests, and it was like with the gold border, because I suppose that's slightly rarer. Less players tend to go for that. We're not done, though. The other secret, the cache that we're missing, is also, and you just saw it actually on screen, is also in this area. What you want to do is climb down. See, you're going to see this texture, and you'll know that you can, like, pickaxe on it. You will have learnt that already. But you'll probably just expect it's there in case someone fell using the rope bridge initially. But actually, if you think about it, there's no way that that would ever be needed. What it's actually leading to is a secret. You need to climb all the way down, and then also remember that you can abseil, which can be pretty easy to forget. And, well, there you have it. And there we have a secret revealed backpack. Doesn't that backpack look totally different to all the other ones in the game? It's got, like, the big cross on it. Maybe actually in the Catholic tomb area that you find some that look like that. Which leaves us just with getting the whistle for the challenge. Now, here's where it gets, I guess, a little bit interesting. This is maybe fitting for the final pickup of the game. It's probably fitting that it's a challenge as well. I couldn't actually exactly remember where the last whistle was. I just remembered it was somewhere near the end. So as you can see here, I end up platforming all the way, and look, the bats are even still here and queued to fly out at you, which is wild. I end up coming right the way through the whole dungeon, back to, like, where the story ended, where we pulled the dagger out and started the apocalypse in the first place. And I kind of get stuck, you know? I don't know whether you're really meant to be here. Like I say, this is just a kind of a bizarre area. Now, the puzzle and the whistle is back there. And, well, now I have absolutely no angle, and I'm not even sure if I have a way back out. Cutting forward, though, eventually, look, I do see just behind that rock. And I get the aim just right. Brilliant aim from Lara there, I suppose. I do actually manage to shoot it from here. And we're done, technically. There you go. That's the last challenge. Except I'm stuck at the end of the first dungeon. I do this absolutely insane magnet jump here, you know, where she just, you know... There is no real platforming in this game. I mean, look at this. Either the devs will let you do it or they don't, and you're not sure whether that's the case until you jump. Yeah, we just do an absolutely ridiculous jump, and now basically I can platform all the way back to a campfire. So there you have it. Looking at the map here now, just to bask. All the side missions are done. There's one there for challenges that doesn't have the big green tick, but you can see all the subcategories are done. Then when I come back to look at the world map, it says Cozumel 100% complete. But I zoom out and check it out, guys. On the world map, it says I'm still only 92% done. So I'm thinking to myself, what? Is there more of Cozumel? And I'm mousing over everything. But it is the case that everywhere I mouse over right now, it says 100. So I have since looked online. Apparently there are bugs with this game. If you have a certain edition of the game and you buy too many outfits too quick or something, some of the relics don't register. And a bunch of people, despite having 100%, it doesn't actually count. So for example here, I'm missing something in the Resistance, right? Like that story isn't done. I'm missing an artifact. And then I'm missing one here as well on To Challenge a God. So I might have bugged the game. And I might not technically be able to get 100%. I'm not sure. I have also read a post, though, that says when you do the last bit of the story, you will get that last bit. But is it going to give me 8% for doing the last bit of the story? I don't know. So I guess we'll go in and figure that out now. Let's open the final section of the video here and play the end of the game. Hopefully get the 100%. And for once, it won't be post-commentary. Wow, we've just done genuinely like 4 episodes in a row filled with largely post-commentary. Let's get stuck on in. Okay, so here we are, the Hidden City Skull Cave once more. And if you remember, hopefully you do, this is where we end things. We're going to speak to Etzli. We are here at the point of no return. After speaking with Etzli, fast travel will be disabled until the story campaign is complete. And you might be wondering, well, where are we going to go here? We're going to go to the volcano, finally. Remember, I pointed this out, like, super early in the series. Various natural disasters have been going on. The volcano is the location of the end. So, just to recap real quickly here. Yeah, we're supposed to be in the middle of an apocalypse. You know, we had the big landslide recently. We saw the volcano. Like, I think there was a pyroclastic blast, wasn't there? And then everything's just like gone on pause and chilled and relaxed because, you know, we're given... I get that most games have a point of no return and the apocalypse in progress usually stops, but it feels really, you know, poorly thought out here in this game for some reason to me. Technically, it's the end of the world. What's also happening is Amaru has got the box and the dagger now, and that's like the other big time limit. He's going to the top of the pyramid to conduct this ritual. There's a big solar eclipse, and he's going to try to remake the world, and we've got to stop him. And then there were a few cryptic little hints as well. You know, we were told to seek the Crimson Fire, whatever that meant. There was a pickup that I picked up about 2 episodes ago in one of the montages. I said I remember that. So yeah, that's basically the situation. We're going to go with the people of the city to attack the cultists and try to take Amaru out, who, you know, has gone a bit nuts. So... Before we do that, though, I thought it might be fun. I'm so happy to finally get out of this outfit.
I can't believe how much Etzli has grown in such a short time.
He's going to make a great king.
Yes, but he's lost both his parents.
So did you.
I think he's handling it a little better.
That's just how it looks from the outside. So much responsibility on his shoulders.
I can't imagine.
I think you can imagine, and of course that's the other...
It's not just about Trinity anymore.
No. Now it's for Paititi.
Which is kind of lower stakes, but I think we're supposed to have really connected the city at this point. Yeah, that's the other thing. Obviously, Lara and her trauma about her family. I still think, genuinely, that the best sequence in this whole game is when we went back to Croft Manor. And we were a little girl. And I think one of the upcoming DLCs does something similar as well. But hey, let me not digress too much. So we're going to go to skills here. And through all the montaging, check it out, we got 16. So I thought it might be fun to buy some of these. Let's see what we've got. The Crow's Cunning to reveal traps when using survival instincts. Well, that's basically pointless, but fine. Owl's Vision, survival instincts last for longer. And we can now also use it for one with the jungle difficulty to highlight enemies, resources and stuff. That's actually pretty cool. I love the way that the difficulty modes actually interact with the RPG stuff in this game. They did the perks very well, and they did the difficulty stuff very well. However, we kind of don't need this anymore, I don't think. I'd like to say there's a ton of cool combat and stuff coming up. I think we're only going to be fighting, like, I don't know, less than 20 guys. We'll see. I'll try not to spoil. And I guess we can finish the blue tree off here as well with Eye of the Eagle 2, which will make our perception plants last the maximum duration. Then there's the red tree. Don't forget as well that there is you get the path skills from like the mini DLCs, and we've still got a couple of those to collect. But also there is, yeah, because by the way, I think we're in progress of one of the DLCs right now. There's also in New Game Plus a bunch of other stuff, like there's the yellow trees and things, which I'll show you as we come forward. But let's run through these first, I suppose. So here's a really cool ability, the Howler's Troop. This looses arrows simultaneously at 2 targets. And we looked at this before. So what it means is hold Q while one with an arrow noosed, and you can shoot 2 people at once. Might be interesting to try that, and then we can actually upgrade it as well, so you can shoot 3 guys at once with the bow and arrow. And I guess the idea is, you know, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, they seem to really love Lara with the bow. They don't like Lara with the pistols. You'll notice in this game as well, we haven't got the dual-wielding pistols. It's not a thing. It was just that one little, like, nod for a tiny moment in 2013. They love the bow, though. And I feel like this is a way of kind of making the bow useful end game versus like the machine gun and stuff and grenade launcher. But I don't know, man. Those other weapons are pretty good. I'm actually looking forward to firing them again because it's been so long. And now we only have we have 3 points available. Well, let's do Puma's Brace. Resist damage from enemies for a short period of time after healing wounds. And don't forget, we have like an automatic wound healing mechanism as well now. I think they synergize. So there you go. So we're nearly done with all of this. And once we get into the post-game, that stuff will come in pretty fine. So there's the skills, and then the other thing that might be fun to look at here is outfits. Well, weapons as well. I mean, Christ, there's so many guns. Look at this too. There's so many weapons. This is insane. I guess on the one hand, it's like, well, look, you just pick whatever you want and have a bit of fun. But there's so little combat. You know, I like to feel like I could play a game like this and get a bit of value out of each one, but I'm just not going to see half of these. Oh, my lord. Let's equip the Grip of Fear again, the DLC pick. And our knife here. Oh, I'd love to show you as well upgrades. So, like, satchels here, for example, rucksack. This is what I bought on these montages. just little things for gold. The adventurous quiver here gives us more and more ammo. So we've got a bunch of those. So, and obviously as I mouse around here, you can see them. Yeah, you can see them. On Lara's back, actually, you can see the different models, which is quite cool. So yeah, then there's outfits. So various crypts we've been doing have been giving us upper and lower body for various things, and we now have them all. So check it out. Yahweh's battle tunic. So this is a leopard pelt and hide tunic worn by Yaska Yahweh, a mighty jaguar warrior. And so this one increases the duration of endurance herb effects. And I quite like the way that this one looks. The next was the mantle of the sixth sky. And again, both upper body and boots. And I like this one as well. I love the feathers that just come down her one arm. Sixth Sky wore these greaves in battle. The cult of Kukulkan's eagle warriors wear eagle feathers in her honor. Feathered padding provides faster health regen. The health regen's pretty cool. And on this one it says metal inlays provide protection from long-range attacks, which is also good since we're going to be getting shot a lot. Now, Chukmaka, we already had the chest, I guess. I crafted that in a previous part, but I didn't do the boots. We didn't have the recipe for the boots until we did one of these recent crypts. These ancient wolf leather greaves were worn by the great warrior Chumaka during Paititi's first rebellion. Surging into battle increases the wearer's experience. Then I believe, I did check, there's like 2 more for us. Yeah, okay, so there's Manko. We just did that side quest. And we went and plundered his tomb, and we got both pieces there. A simple but sturdy hide tunic worn by Manko, the poor villager who led the Inca away from Cuzco and to safety. Scented hide provides concealment when hunting prey. So animal prey takes longer to detect. Lara, come on. There's so few animals, and there's no animals in this section coming up. And then Cantu, Cantid's gilded vest. When I first saw this, I was hoping it was going to be like a gold find kind of mechanic, like increase the amount of gold we get. It's not, sadly. It's bonus XP from hunting, and then additional hide and fat from animals. Neither of which really matter. But preferred outfit of Cantu, an affluent hunter. Her skill saved her tribe from starvation as they wandered the jungle looking for a new home. And I guess we can wear this. Mostly I'm interested in the cosmetics of these. And it's just even more variety. You know, the DLC's added so many of them. So there you have it. Now, the one other thing you could do... Now, I'm not going to do this because it's going to make it a bit too easy. But you could craft all the arrows and everything possible. But also, like, ammunition. It's kind of hard. While you're in Paititi, you can't mouse over your other guns. But it might be... that you don't have much pistol ammo on you, or you don't have much machine gun ammo on you. And that's probably true for me right now. So if you go and you buy a bunch of that before you start, you're going to have a really easy time. I'm not going to, just to have a little bit of interest. So yeah, here we go. Edsley. After speaking with Edsley, fast travel will be disabled until the story campaign is complete. Are you ready to take on Kukulkan? Sure. And you might think Edsley's about to have a big role, since it's his warriors that we're going to be fighting with us up to Kukulkan. Well, hold that thought.
How is the plan coming together, Edsley?
We have options. Uchu?
Kukulkan's army will follow the Sakbe to the Great Stone Bridge to reach the pyramid. If we approach them head-on, we have the best chance to intercept them, but... we could easily be overwhelmed.
I like it. Jonah offers a bit of strategy here.
If we go in this way, it'd be more secure. But our timing would have to be perfect, or they'd slip through our fingers.
I choose to believe he's learned this strategy from hanging out in the cave.
Can we do both? If we approach head-on, I can go around the other way and act as a sniper.
They'd be trapped.
No approach is without risk, but I believe this is the best option.
Good. Then, on your order.
Gather the troops. Let's go.
Okay, cool plan, right? The sniper plan? Definitely gonna... Oh yeah, look, the lighting bugs here at the end of the cutscene. I have no idea why. It's the only place it will happen. It's just a little bit more shadow jank. Don't worry about it, guys. So we kind of skip forward now.
This is where we part. Your path lies that way.
And we're gonna split up straight away.
Lara, I want you to have this. For luck.
Edsley, I can't.
After today, the eclipse will no longer represent us. We keep the sun, but you remove the shadow.
I really love the mocap on his face. I really think some of the acting in this game is good, like visually. Anyway, so we get a trinket.
Be careful, Jonah.
You too, little bird.
It's okay. We know that Jonah has plot armor now. I do like him calling her Little Bird, though. That's a nice, fun callback. Okay. Wait, guys. So I was editing this, right? And I was listening quite carefully. And usually in, just a bit behind the scenes here, usually in a cutscene or something where I'm not speaking, I'll actually listen to my own audio track in case there's like an echo or I just hear my own like voice or something, or my own breathing. I always hate the thought of me sitting there breathing heavily in the background, and I always would mute the track. So I was listening to this and I was hearing the grossest mouth breathing ever, thinking, my god, dude, how have you done that? It turns out it was Jonah. And I feel really bad, but here, listen to this. Listen back.
Be careful, Jonah.
You too, little bird.
Wow, dude, what were you directed to do that in the booth? So yeah, quite a few things to talk about already. First, where the hell are we, right? We're in this kind of watery area. It feels to me, at most, you're going to find I'm very grumpy about the ending of this game. This is not a long sequence we're about to play. It feels to me like a lot of stuff was cut. And already I feel like we've seen one cut, which is I feel like there was going to be a moment where we all move together as like a clan or a group, maybe a bit of walkie-talkie dialogue, some actual, involvement from Etzli, and then we get here, and then we split up. That lets us fight alongside Jonah a bit, whatever. But none of that's in the game. We're basically right next to the volcano/pyramid areas straight away, right? They just skip us there. And I think that's a real shame. The other thing they just talked a lot about was this whole sniping idea. Cool, we're going to get some gunplay where we're picking people off. No, none of that sniper stuff is in the game. They use it as the excuse to split us up, but then didn't build the gameplay for it. Etzli as well. You might think, oh, what's going to happen with Etzli now? This is his big story, right? That's it now for Etzli. Seriously, you don't see him again. Okay, well, until right at the end. His involvement is basically gone now. That combined with the side quests we saw, that felt like it was going to be a part of the main game and then wasn't. I don't know. Clearly stuff was chopped and changed there. So bye-bye, Etzli. But he does give us this cool amulet here. So if I quickly press tab after the cutscene, and I think a lot of players will miss this.
Etzli gave me half of Unuratu's eclipse amulet. I get the moon, and he kept the sun. I suppose this means he expects to remove the darkness over Paititi. Tall order. I hope I don't let them down.
Oh my god, I triggered it instantly, almost accidentally. Wow. And, well, that's just as well as, because, this extra bit of information isn't even something for us to look at. So I like this. Throughout the game, we've been getting over and over this idea of, like, Lara's twinned, she's the moon, someone else is the sun. Here, she's getting the moon and Etzli has the sun side of it. That twinning is going to be a big thing as well. And remember that cryptic hint as well before. Before Unuratu died, she said that we need to seek the Crimson Fire, and we were like, what the hell? And do you remember, like, when the montage 2 episodes ago, I got that pickup and it talked about us being a twin as well, seeking our reflection? Remember that? Yeah, those weird clues in the mythology are kind of going to be a thing in the story in a second, so worth bearing in mind. But there you go, yeah, Unuratu's amulet, and it's one of the last pickups. That does actually give us a little bit more % completion. So, there's nothing for it, really. This is basically a corridor. We're not allowed back up. There's no camp up there. It's kind of a nice vibe in here. And I guess we'll just swim down and go for it. So, I'm going to be horrible to you guys here now, actually. I know that we've kind of been waiting through multiple episodes of montages of pickups to get to the end of the game. I think I'm going to stop the episode here, though, now. And I know that's kind of a douchebag cliffhanger. However, knowing how long the end of the game is, it kind of just works really well if the end of the game is in its own video. So join me next time for that. Thank you very, very much for watching Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I'm really happy to, if you are watching this right now, especially after the break in the series, it really means a lot to me that you guys are along for the ride, and we'll see what we think about the end. If you guys have any more of these big, long comments about how you feel the story's going and all that kind of stuff, I'd love to read them. And, yeah, take care of yourself, guys. I'm going to get on and just play this straight away, so you should see the video pretty soon up on YouTube. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time for the end of the game.